What's up everyone? In this video I'm going to talk about my favorite way that I made money during college, and I think everyone should also do the same if possible. Stay tuned. So let me set the timeline for you. It was 2017 and I was a sophomore at the University of Toledo. I was studying electrical engineering. At my particular university we had to do mandatory co-ops, and that is basically just an internship. And I was working at a company nearby as an automation engineer, and I was making $16 an hour for my first one.
Cash! Dollar bills!
So after about 2 years of renting, I was starting to get really annoyed with how my money was just getting thrown in the garbage, essentially paying someone else's mortgage. And I actually wanted to start building equity in something. So the idea of actually buying a house popped into my head, and I wasn't 100% sure if it was possible. So I contacted a lender, and after talking to them, I found out that my $16 an hour was sufficient for buying a home in my location. Because you need 2 years work history to get a loan, I found out that my schooling counted as it since I was in it for full time for the last 2 years. So this actually got the ball rolling with me pursuing buying a house. I didn't think it was possible, but here I am. I've been living in it for the last almost 4 years now. So there are a couple different types of loans that you can get. One is a conventional, and that is the one that you're probably going to want to try to shoot for. But in my case, I could only get an FHA loan, which the difference between the two is essentially that the FHA loan is a little bit more strict as far as what you can buy. The house can't have any peeling paint, no cracked windows, can't be electric that is exposed, just things along the lines of that. The reason it's a little bit more strict is because it's government backed, but you only have to put 3.5% down. So I was able to get into this house for a pretty cheap price because I had saved up a little bit of money during my co-op. So as soon as I was pre-approved, I was able to reach out to an agent, and I decided to reach out to a few at that time because I was pretty shy at the time and I really did not like talking to people. So what I did was I emailed 5 different agents, and only one of them actually took the time to kind of draw out the house buying process via email. Every single other one of them wanted me to meet with them in an office, and at that time I just really wasn't comfortable with it. Looking back on it, it's kind of dumb not to, because it's a lot easier to articulate in person rather than actually trying to type it out. But this particular agent ended up being the person who met my criteria. And just a fun side fact, I am graduated and I'm no longer an engineer. I am a full-time real estate agent, and I do work under that agent who sold me my first house. So her and I developed a really good relationship through this process. But enough of that story, I could go into that in a different video. So I'm gonna hop back on track with the idea of this video. So after my agent understood what I was looking for in a home, she started sending them my way. And the majority of agents will just send you an auto email, and then if they see something that fits your standards, they'll also send it to you on the side. So while I was looking, I was mainly just looking for a garage because I was really into cars at the time. I still am, and I didn't really care much about the house's condition as long as it met those FHA guidelines. So I was just firing out offers, and I wasn't making terrible offers, and keep in mind it was still kind of competitive at this time. Nowhere near how it is during the pandemic, but regardless, it was still very competitive for the time. After about 10 to 15 offers, and that's no exaggeration, she really wrote that many for me, I ended up finding the one that got accepted, and I think my ticket to that one was writing a SEPI note. I think there was another offer that was a little bit better than mine, and my SEPI note won it. And this house was nothing special. The inside was very outdated. It was a dark maroon color. It had horrible carpets. The upstairs bathroom wasn't finished. In my opinion, it was the perfect house that I could have bought. I went through the whole closing process. I completed my inspections, I closed on the house, and then I ended up moving in and starting work immediately. So all I did was rip up the carpet, paint the walls, and then lay some new floors, and then finish the upstairs bathroom. And that's all I did for the first 3 years of owning this house. Luckily, I didn't have any issues with any mechanicals breaking or plumbing being bad, electrical being bad. Everything was totally fine. So I ended up getting this house for $47,500, and it ended up being tucked away in a neighborhood that I think is awesome. My neighbors are super nice. I get along very well with them. I don't feel unsafe walking my dog around the neighborhood at night. It's a very, very nice area. So you could run into an issue with that. So if you're living somewhere that's super expensive like New York, California, Texas, it might not be totally possible to buy your own house, but there are other ways around getting loans, so it might still be possible for you to do this. Now my monthly payment for the house was gonna cost me $413, and that is a lot better than paying $1,000 to $1,500 of rent. If I split that among roommates, all that money that they paid me was going straight towards the equity of the house.
It's free real estate.
So after I finished all the updates to the home, I started letting people move in. The first one to move in was my girlfriend, and I was charging her $250 a month. It's not smart to let someone live for free, especially if they are your significant other. They should at least be contributing a little bit. Now I had another set of friends who had their leases up on their apartments, and they were actually dating, still are at this time. I let them move into the basement and kind of make that an apartment of their own. They took the one side and turned it into a little TV room, and then there was an actual bedroom down there, which allowed them to put their bed and desk in there to actually have some separate area for themselves. So that couple, I ended up charging $550 a month for the basement, and that was split between the two of them, and they didn't have to pay for any utilities. Now for the last room that I had in the house, I had a buddy reach out to me from high school who was actually going to the school and needed a cheaper place to live. So I let him rent out the room on the first floor for $400 a month. And he was kind of in and out throughout the process, but it made it really nice because when I had a full house, I was pulling in $1,200 a month, and my mortgage was only $413 a month. So it's a pretty big difference, and I was making a solid amount of money at the time. Now I had my engineering co-op going along with that side money coming in, and I mean I was flipping cars and doing some other side hustles just to make some extra money. It was really nice as a college kid being able to have all this side money to spend, not to mention the equity that I was gaining throughout this whole process. Now I'm sitting here 4 years later, and this house, I could probably sell it for $65,000 to $70,000, the amount that I've paid off so far, and put a fat chunk of change in my pocket. So like I said, in my opinion, that is the best way to make money while you're in college, or at least gain equity. It's gonna set you up for your future, and really it's just a no-brainer in my opinion. It beats paying rent 1,000%. The only time it wouldn't make sense to do this is if you were in an area where it was cheaper to rent out a house than a mortgage would be on the home. So this brings me to my reflection point. If I were to do this all again, I definitely would have picked up a duplex, but like I said, I wasn't thinking about that at the time. All I wanted was a garage. But if I were to get a duplex, I could have just had me and my girlfriend in the one side and then the other people on the other side. Throughout those years, we had some fun parties and really became good friends, and that made it so much more fun. I definitely don't regret going with a single family home, but I would have had my own personal space if I did end up getting a duplex. There's different pros and cons to each side of it. Definitely if you're in the market for buying a home, feel free to reach out to me. I am able to help you out no matter where you are in the country. If you have any questions, I will try my best to help you out in any way that I can. Like I said, I'm a full-time realtor now, so I like to think that I know a thing or two about houses and how they work. So if you like this video, make sure to click that like button because it helps me out a ton, and if you want, feel free to subscribe. That will give you any updates on when I post new content, and I'm just gonna leave it at that. I'll catch you in the next video.